I would like to introduce Allyson Hewitt. And Allyson is the Executive Director of Social Entrepreneurship at MaRS Discovery District. Allyson leads the social innovation programs at MaRS, including Social Innovation Generation, SiG MaRS. This program supports social entrepreneurs and promotes social innovation under the headings Advise, Convene, Accelerate. SiG MaRS has also recently announced a groundbreaking Center for Impact Investing and is working on a series of innovative solutions lab to tackle complex challenges. A lifelong social innovator, Allyson most recently worked at SiG Kids, where she led SiG Kids Canada and was a passionate advocate for children. She was also the Executive Director of Community Information Toronto, where she initiated 211, providing streamlined access to human services information. For this work, she received the Head of the Public Service Award and several other prestigious awards for meritorious public service. And Allyson and I were at 2 events last night together, so welcome, Allyson.
You guys all hanging in there? I wish I had a great poem. I could shove you now so we'd give some energy and stuff. It was really terrific. Thank you for sharing that. So I didn't have to look up the definition of social innovation because I live and breathe it. But we do have a website called sigeneration.org, or I think it's .org, where we've collected definitions from around the world of people trying to figure this out. And what we always say is, just declare it. Pick one that works and resonates for you, declare it, and then act accordingly. At MaRS and the SiG, which stands for Social Innovation Generation, it's a national collaborative, we've really embraced working with vulnerable populations and creating more resilient communities as part of our approach to social innovation, which is really, at the most simplest, finding new ways to address old social problems. So why should you care? Well, first of all, you're here, so thank you very much for being here. And I want to actually say to you, let's get just a little bit self-interested. Let's figure out a way where we can find synergies between your work and those doing social purpose work. Let's give each other permission to think about sustainability from a triple bottom line perspective: financial, social, and environmental. And if you think I'm crazy, which lots do, I can tell you there's lots more like me around the world, and we're actually seeing people with a triple bottom line focus making an impact in all 3 of those areas. So let's look at some trends. One is a term called creating shared value. You may have read Michael Porter's article in the Harvard Business Review some time ago now. Well, we brought his partner, Mark Kramer, who's way cheaper than Michael, I'm just saying. They wrote the article together, but this is a nonprofit perspective. We brought Mark Kramer to Toronto to talk about this. And he gave a couple of key messages. He says, number 1, societal and corporate success are inextricably linked. Only companies can create prosperity that funds government and civil society. Companies can create sustainable and scalable solutions to many social problems in many ways that governments and NGOs can't. And businesses can overcome constraints that limit their growth. He urges us to think differently about sustainability and to reject the historical focus on the friction between the two. I grew up in the nonprofit sector. I am a child of the nonprofit sector, and yet I absolutely get that we're only going to solve some of our most intractable problems if we bring new voices to the table. It's the unusual stakeholders that Mitzi talked about. It's using your brains and the heart and passion and commitment of those in the nonprofit sector and government to work together. No one owns the solution, but together we can figure it out. So here's an example that they talk about in the Creating Shared Value article. It's Cisco. They were having trouble finding staff to manage what they're calling they're network administrators. They're having trouble with that. It's a whole, and again, Tanya referred to talent acquisition and talent retention. It's a key part of what we have to think about. So Cisco's growth was limited by the number of trained network administrators worldwide. So they set up something called the Networking Academy. It was a distance learning program that combined web-based curriculum, local instruction, and lab facilities. They partnered with industry peers, schools, government. They focused on economically deprived regions around the world. What happened? They created 10,000 academies in 165 countries. These are huge numbers. And Kay, we only dream about numbers like these, right? Over 4 million students have been trained. More than 70% have attained a new job, a better job, increased responsibility, or higher salary. For Cisco, this alleviated a key labor constraint. They have students all over the world familiar with Cisco products, and they've strengthened relationships between suppliers, local businesses, and government. Solved a social need, increased literacy, increased opportunities for jobs, and met a business need. The next big trend I want to talk to you about is hybrid. So again, growing up in the world of nonprofits and charities, I always thought of us over here. We come and ask for money. Will you please write us a check? We're doing good work. We're good people. For-profits over here, creating jobs through the kind of work that you're doing, and maybe you'd write a check on a good day to a nonprofit. But my job at Mars in this hybrid space is to squish those two ends together so you can have this really messy, lovely hybrid space in the middle where you're thinking about programs like at MicroSkills where you're making money and making a difference. And this is getting beyond corporate social responsibility to the next wave of integrating social, environmental, and profit motives into everything that you do, and Tanya really personifies that. The third big trend is something called impact investing. How do we think about, yes, we need philanthropic donations, we need government support, but how do we mobilize more private capital for public good? So again, you used to think about the world in a bifurcated way. I have one pocket where I make a charitable donation, and I have another pocket where I invest. I used to make money that way too, but not anymore. So now I'm thinking, okay, can I bring those two pockets together? Can I invest and get a social and financial return? Can I actually get my money back that I can then invest in another way? And I really want to thank Tanya, not just for her role at KPMG for supporting this new Center for Impact Investing, but for her personal leadership. She has really made this happen. And I keep saying to her, we're so thankful for the money that you're putting into the center, but we're even more excited about the talent that you're going to bring. Because I'm going to bring one set of skills, and her folks are going to bring yet another set of skills. So we're both really excited about this partnership. We launched a social finance task force, right? So thinking about money differently. And we went to government and we said, would you please commission us to do a social finance task force? They're doing cool things in the UK and we'd love you to commission us. And they said, well, no. They said no. And so we said, fine, we'll do it on our own. And this is another big thing that I'm learning. You can't wait for permission. You can't wait for government. You got to mobilize stuff and just do it. So we were lucky enough to get someone like Paul Martin to join that. We got Stanley Hart. We got, our chair is the CEO of Mars, Ilse Tronek. We had Tim Broadhead, who's was the head of Canada's largest family foundation. And we put together a really interesting task group, came up with 7 recommendations for how we mobilize private capital for public good. And it's had incredible pickup, including being mentioned in the latest budget at the federal level. So I wanted to reflect back for just a second on something that Teresa said when she started off, which is this messy space, this convergence space where innovation for us, we believe at Mars that innovation can happen anywhere but accelerates on the margins. So if you come into Mars with a really great idea, so I have these young guys that come in, they have developed a program to help animation work better. They're animators and they needed something that was more efficient. Great, they come in and they talk to our information technology advisory practice. And then they call me in because they think, is there a social element to what these guys are doing? And it's about creating avatars and you put little, thought strips and you tell stories. And I said, well, I have a 14-year-old kid. He would love this avatar thing. He would love to, tell stories and maybe there's an opportunity with the school boards. The Toronto District School Board is now their biggest client. Boys' literacy is improving as they begin to work through these systems. And girls are saying things like, okay, bit strips people, it's really cool, but you better give me more options for hairstyles, or you better give me more options for dresses. And they're now embracing this and coming at it in a way that I, despite all my lovely women's studies, did not see coming. And I'm thrilled to be surprised and to see that happen. So the messy space for us at MaRS is it doesn't matter which door you come in, you're going to get help both from a financial, social, and all three things, financial, social, and if appropriate, environmental point of view. Let's create this messy space together. And the final thing I just want to mention is this solutions lab that Mitzi referenced. We're trying to create a space where people can come together to tackle complex problems. So it's not about creating new organizations, it's about moving the needle and engaging really cool people like Bill Young at Social Capital Partners. And what we're trying to do, and Teresa, I loved what you said, we're trying to take some time. We're trying to create an environment where risk is not only tolerated, it's encouraged. And we're working in an adjacency with government. So MaRS, most of you may know, is right across the street from Queen's Park, across from U of T, adjacent to Bay Street, not owned by any of those, but hopefully creating a welcoming environment for all of them, and of course situated in community. How do we bring really great minds together to think differently about some of our challenges, but that will advance in a thoughtful, think and do tank kind of way, building on Mitzi's comment as well. So what's in it for you? Hopefully the opportunity to do the right thing, which is what you want to do, and create a more sustainable economy, social system, and environment. Together, I really think we have the opportunity to break down this bifurcated world and create opportunities that redefine success. Thank you very much.